Hey guys, and welcome back to Beer Fueled Fantasy Football. Hope you guys are ready for a Wednesday episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed an actual busy trade deadline for once in the NFL, so that was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Something's going on here.
It was pretty busy last year, too. I just kind of remember screaming at my TV or my phone during that. So,
All right, let me get Hopper's face on here. For some reason, I lost the link to the application, but there you go. Now you can see Hopper. I am at Nick Sparts. Joined remotely is Christopher Hopper.
Hot BFF with 2 Ps. How y'all doing?
And to my right, Dan Thury, just rushing home from work.
At Thury BFF. Fuck trains.
Fuck trains.
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 I like trains.
Bikes.
Bikes. I don't want to yell it out in the mic. That'd be terrible for everyone's ears.
All right, guys. We are Beer Fueled FF. Follow us there on Twitter, Instagram, and Untapped if you want to keep track of when we drop episodes, have any news for you guys. You want to see our can art on Instagram, and Untapped is where you can catch all the reviews of the beer we feature on the show. Beer Fueled Fantasy Football if you want to be able to hop into episodes and ask us questions and join us in our Sunday Start Sick question segments to let you guys know who you should put in your lineups and get out based on last-minute news. We're about 5:45 to 6:15 range most nights for the Monday, Wednesday, Friday shows, depending on when everyone's available. And then Sunday morning will be 10:30 a.m. rest of season. I believe Sunday is going to be a solo Hopper show, so you got that to look forward to.
Have fun, guys.
Means it'll be the best show of the year.
Best show ever.
All me, all the time.
He loves him some him. If you guys want to help support the show, a couple ways you can do it. If you're looking for the free route, drop likes and comments into our videos. That helps boost visibility on YouTube. Drop reviews on iTunes. That boosts the visibility of the audio podcast. You guys can go ahead and want to donate some actual cash money. A couple ways you can do that. You can buy us beer and send it to us. We love stuff that we can't get here locally. So if you live in New England, Southeast, Texas, California, Pacific Northwest, send us stuff. We're happy to take all of it. You can also DM the show, BeerFueledFF or BeerFueledFantasy@gmail if you want to email us, and I can get you information for how to order merchandise or how to donate to our Patreon. We appreciate all that. It helps fund the show and keeps us going. Before we get into today's episode, which includes a bunch of trade news, getting you guys prepped for the playoff run, going over what happened Monday night, previewing Thursday, and of course giving you our weekly start sits, which hopefully is a little bit better hit rate than we had in Week 8, we got to preview a beer. And from Hopper's St. Louis collection, we have Blackberry Wheat by Kirkwood Station Brewing Company. It's Kirkwood Station's first time on the show. They're based out of Kirkwood, Missouri, which I think that's a suburb of St. Louis. Hopper?
Yeah, you think correctly. Sorry. Mic was off again.
Stop turning your mic off. You're on a podcast.
You would think correctly. I'd just like to say, speak for yourself on that hit rate thing. I was 3 for 4.
Your set of the week was also a miss. You were 3 for 5.
Oh, well, okay. You know what? That's a 600 batting average in the majors. That'll get you a Hall of Fame. And then some.
And then some.
First unanimous. All right. Blackberry Wheat from Kirkwood is a mildly sweet and fruity ale. It comes in at a sessionable 4.8% ABV, and we'll give you a full review once we get through our lounge segment for today's episode. And now we have a packed news segment for you guys to talk about all the trades that just went down.
News.
All right, we're going to kick it off first with some news relating to Thursday night's game, where CJ Beathard is uncertain for Thursday night's game against the Raiders. Will be a game-time decision.
Who is their backup?
Nick Mullins.
What the hell is that?
I have no idea.
Bless you, my
Is
child.
that like Maddie's brother?
They kept him over Tom Savage.
That means run out there and really think about picking up Oakland's defense to not play it.
Yeah,
Too late for them to sign Swag Kelly.
You're either getting not 100% CJ Beathard, which is not a high bar, or something called Nick Mullins.
I mean, pick up Oakland's defense. Ish.
Where is Swag Kelly when you need him?
I don't know.
He's probably in jail
Probably
somewhere.
sleeping in someone's house without telling them he was there.
Getting chased out by a vacuum cleaner.
Probably hanging out with Kylo Letta.
That's true.
They're soulmates.
All right. Kyle Lauletta, which wasn't going to talk about here because it's
Oh,
not
we
giant
have
news.
to now.
But Kyle Lauletta got arrested for basically pulling a Randy Moss. He almost hit a cop with his car
No,
after failing to
He
obey
hit a
directions.
cop car. I thought that's what I read. He hit
No,
a-
he almost hit a cop
almost hit one.
after failing to obey their directions.
Oh.
Hey,
Yeah.
you just talked about a legal thing, and I didn't hear a drop.
Yeah, right? Come on. One job.
Actually, you have like 17 jobs.
I know he does. You have one job right now.
I don't use that one very often. I'm like, where the fuck is it? I don't have the whole thing memorized yet. I'm working on it.
Oh, we have all these. We have all these.
I did it for
questions.
170 episodes and never had the whole thing memorized.
All right. Do you want to take a break for questions before we get into more news?
Sure. Project Badass and Colton both say, yo, what's up? What's up, guys? Badass question, Watson or Trubisky this week?
Right.
I actually just ranked this. Watson by a hair.
Let me get my ranking so I can.
I'll have mine
confirm.
completed tomorrow morning.
I'm in the process of typing mine while we record.
Jesus.
Also Watson by a hair. I've got Watson 9 and Trubisky 11.
All right. Colton's question, comments? I got a super trade today. I traded Bell Murray to the Cook owner for Hopkins.
So Latavius Murray and Le'Veon Bell for Hopkins. So
yes.
this is the Bell you just traded for, and then you flipped him. Well done.
For Hopkins?
Yeah.
Well done,
Hopkins,
sir.
all right, good job.
I don't care what your team's record. I think his team's record is 4-4. So
With most points
Jeff
scored.
Fisher would be proud.
Hey,
Hey, we're proud of you for that trade, sir.
I've got a league where I'm 4-4 right now, and I'm one of 3 teams that scored over 800 points in the league, and then the next highest scoring team is at like 710.
Yeah.
So it's a very much a top 3 teams league, and I'm like, I'm going to catch up.
Yeah.
I'll be in the playoffs. So just keep chugging along.
Which means he won't be in the playoffs.
Those wins will come. I've seen my schedule the rest of the season. I'm going to pull some wins. All right. Next news we got is Ryan Tannehill is out again week 9. Brock Osweiler is going to get his 4th start for the Dolphins. It is against the Jets, so it's not his worst matchup.
No, if you need a streamer, you do worse than the Brocket ship.
The Brocket Chef.
I mean, Houston was a better defense, and he wasn't terrible. He made Parker relevant for that week, so
Yeah, he did.
I like Parker this week.
We will get to that later.
I know he will.
ESPN's Adam Schefter reports quarterback Derek Anderson is expected to miss Week 9 with a concussion. Nathan Peterman is expected to get the start against the Bears, and they signed Matt Barkley to be his backup.
Jesus. This is where, like, failed quarterbacks go.
So,
So-
Hopper, how do you feel about Nathan Peterman starting against your Bears?
So the Bears are going to pick him off 3 times. I'm going to be happy because the defense. Matt Barkley's going to come in, revenge game, and that's that.
And then the Bears lose.
Just to piss me off.
No, they'll tie.
They'll tie.
They'll tie.
All right. Let's get to some of these. Actually, no, one more quarterback news. Blake Bortles has an injury to his left non-throwing shoulder, is expected to be fine for Week 10 against the Colts, but they did rush out and sign Landry Jones as a backup just in
I
case.
don't know why you want to rush out there and sign Landry Jones.
Who else is available?
I don't. Jesus.
Swag Kelly.
Sway Kelly
Swear-
from jail will
Yeah.
probably be a better quarterback than Landry Jones.
He's not still in jail.
No.
In Dan's narrative, he is.
Yes.
All right, now to some of the trades where the Eagles acquired wide receiver Golden Tate from the Eagles in exchange for a 3rd-round pick.
The Eagles acquired wide receiver Golden Tate from the Eagles.
Yes.
The Eagles acquired Golden Tate from the Eagles.
Whoops.
Lions.
I copied this, so that's impressive. So
You
Roto World
sure?
must have fucked that up. Require the Lions wide receiver Golden Tate.
I'm so
Goes to
happy
the
that you were
Eagles.
so sure of yourself,
You know,
though.
he's like, what? Oh,
Right. We should probably analyze this, Dan.
Yeah, instead of just making fun of me for
yeah,
reading
but
what I
that's fun
copied.
though.
I'm like Ron Burgundy, okay? I just read what's in front of me.
I think this hurts Tate. Personally, you've got Ertz, Jeffrey, who are both going to demand targets. He's not going to be the guy. You haven't gotten a ton of production out of secondary wide receivers in Philadelphia this year. I think that it hurts him, and I think that it's good for Marvin Jones.
It's awesome for Marvin Jones.
And Kenny Galladay.
And Galladay. I'm not sure there'll be a 3rd receiver worth owning. I know people are running after I'm blanking on his
Brandon
name.
Powell
No.
Powell, yeah.
What other
and
one?
TJ Jones.
TJ Jones is a little bit better profile.
Yeah,
Not
Yeah,
for slot, but he's a better profile.
Theo Riddick probably gets a little bit of a boost, honestly.
or Johnson if he can't get healthy.
Yep.
So yeah, I think it slightly hurts Stafford. because Tate was a security blanket.
Yeah, 27% target share. This, of course, hurts Stafford. This is a big boost to Wentz, and I think it hurts all the playmakers slightly in Philadelphia because Tate's going to demand. He's a fantastic route runner. He's one of the best after the catch that we've had over the last 3 years, which means, and he plays a lot of his stuff is over the middle too, so that is going to hurt Zach Ertz a little bit. This definitely hurts Aguilar because if they push him outside, we've seen 2 years of Aguilar outside. It's pretty fucking terrible.
That or they're going to push Matthews outside, which is also terrible. So either way, it kills those two.
They have too many slot receivers. That's why this trade was wasn't weird to me. It was a good move for them, but great move for Wentz.
So
They definitely upgraded, but it kills a lot.
helps Wentz. Jeffrey should be fine because he's like the only legit outside receiver they have.
Yeah.
And then it probably is a slight ding to Ertz, but he's still a top 2 tight end.
Marshall played a little bit more inside too when they played together in Chicago, right, Hopper? Or is that they both played strictly outside?
Almost exclusively outside from
Okay,
what I remember.
I thought maybe Marshall played some inside with them too.
No, it was
That'd be the biggest slot receiver ever.
Hey,
Marshall.
it happens.
Marshall or Jeffrey. You're talking about Jeffrey?
Well, no, I'm talking about Marshall when those two played together.
No, they were both outside receivers.
Okay,
And
that's
you
because they
had
had
Johnny Knox and Cam Meredith.
And Hester played inside a little
and
bit.
Royal
Eddie
too.
Royal.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was one season, I think.
Two.
I just named off like 4 guys that played in between those two, but they were outside.
Okay.
Texans acquired wide receiver Demaryius Thomas from the Broncos in exchange for a 4th-round pick. This was after Will Fuller goes down for the season. A little bit different profile for Thomas, but you're adding a second skilled outside receiver at least.
Hopkins stretched the field for them when they had Andre Johnson. That was kind of his role his first year before Johnson left to Indy. So, and what we saw last year a little bit before Watson got hurt is they used Hopkins in that type of role, also doing bubble screens and things like that. This is I think a great boost for Hopkins. Huge boost for Watson. This should help get coverage away from Hopkins. It's going to put some shade on the Kuti hype, but
Oh yeah, definitely.
this is a good move for them.
Yeah, and it keeps Watson insulated. It gives him another target that's
Another
comfortable.
Big body target.
I don't love Thomas in this situation. He's probably a wide receiver 3 for me going forward.
It may be more boom busty. It just we'll see what the target share is after a couple of weeks as he's getting integrated into this offense.
Yeah, but it definitely, the biggest thing I think is it helps Hopkins making sure he's not getting all the coverage, and it helps Watson for giving him another target.
Yeah, we have some of these questions here, a few of them more. So we're gonna flex to them. Jared asked, should I flex Crowell, Jones, or Richard full PPR?
Which Jones?
I'm hoping Aaron Jones. I'm assuming Aaron Jones because Ronald Jones is hurt, and I don't know why he'd be part of that conversation.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Crowell, Jones, or Richard? It would help if we know which
Jones, because
Jones.
Because if it's a flex, it could be Aaron Jones, Marvin Jones. So what Jones Jared for us?
But I really like Crowell this week against the Dolphins.
Me too.
I do like Crowell this week against the Dolphins. He's currently my running back 8, but I've only ranked about half the games.
Okay.
So you should end up as a high running back 2, basically.
I've got him as a mid running back 2, I think.
It
so
is
about
Aaron
right.
Jones, Isaiah Crowell, and Jalen Richard.
Jones and Crow are close for me.
I like Jones, especially post-Mont trade.
Still go Crow here.
Yeah, I think he'll get the most touches.
Caca.
I got offered David Johnson for Marlon Mack in full point PPR. What do y'all think? I will get to that a little bit later, Jorge, when we get to our lounge segment. Chris just asked Elijah McGuire. I'm not sure what the question.
Yes.
It's probably a pickup. I'm assuming yes. Pick him up and stash him if you can hold it.
Yeah, he's going to be the pass catcher there over Cannon once he's healthy.
If the question's Elijah McGuire, the answer is yes with the below college. I don't even know what the question is, but it's yes.
Assuming at least a somewhat decent league.
Yep.
Nick, I don't know what your half point 12 team is alluded to, sir.
Yeah, I don't see any question to go with it. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
You're previewing the question.
Ah.
Julio and Lindsey for Ingram and Hopkins. He gets to keep Lindsey in the 15th next year. That's something I'm not going to be super confident projecting to next season because who knows what's happening in Denver.
You still got Royce.
You still got Royce, and that team could be looking at a new coaching staff, could be all sorts of overhaul there. So Lindsey's going to be kind of in flux.
I think Hopkins is the best player in this deal, and Ingram still has some decent value, especially going forward because he does get involved. So I do that trade.
And Ingram has a great schedule down the stretch.
Yeah.
I think I want Ingram and Hopkins, even though Lindsey's keeper value is nice. Hopper, you agree?
Yep, I agree completely.
All right. Jorge, LOL, the suspense.
All right, let's move it on. Sorry.
Let's
that's a lot of
move it
questions.
on. Texans waived wide receiver Bruce Ellington with an injury settlement as part of signing Thomas. They don't want to keep him on the roster. So
sense.
he may sign somewhere else. Apparently, he is healthy at this time. Bills agreed to terms with wide receiver Terrell Pryor. He may get some snaps at quarterback on Sunday.
He might have to.
That he'll probably be their best. He'll be their best quarterback on the roster, probably.
Seahawks released wide receiver Brandon Marshall.
Not surprised he hadn't done anything.
Yep. Put him out of his misery. He's done.
I guess.
Rams acquire defensive end Dante Fowler from the Jaguars in exchange for a 2019 third-round pick and a 2020 fifth. So they're trying to address their edge issue.
Yeah, they're trying to address their pass rush issue, which I think that, coupled with the loss of Talib, has been the reason that defense hasn't performed up to expectations.
Yeah, it's been all interior pressure and no exterior pressure at all. So Fowler has only, 2 sacks on the season, so he's not a extremely good pass rusher, but teams
He'll
don't
help.
trade extremely good pass rushers, period. So
If I remember correctly, the Rams still have a pretty brutal end of season schedule for their defense too. They're one of those where they play a lot of the fringe good offenses.
yeah, I mean, they got the Saints here this week. I know they catch the Eagles still at some point. Trying to remember who else all they have.
Seahawks again.
They got to still face the Seahawks again.
We
Who's
know how
off.
good that team can be.
They still have the Chiefs. They still have. Have they played the Chargers yet? I don't think so. So yeah, you got.
yeah. I thought they played them in their week 2 or 3. They played them early. I think.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they did.
All right, but you got some good offenses at least left on their schedule. That
I
makes
will
it tough.
look while you keep
Cool.
talking.
Instead of me having to try to remember.
That's right.
Redskins acquired safety HaHa Clinton Dix from the Packers in exchange for a 2019 fourth-round pick. So it's weird seeing the Packers being sellers.
Yeah, well, apparently I forget where I saw this at. I think somebody else mentioned it, but apparently it was in the Super BS group. I don't remember who, though. But apparently said he wasn't going to re-sign at the end of this year. So the Packers moved him, I guess, just to get something for him. But that defense doesn't be good anyway, so you might as well trade your surplus there.
Well, but the thing is, if he walks, they could potentially get a 4th or 5th round conditional pick for him, and now they don't get him for the rest of the season.
Yep.
So I don't really get it.
I didn't necessarily get it immediately either. That was the only logic I could kind of see behind it. Either way, it does help the Redskins, whose defense has actually overperformed this year. So HaHa is a very good free safety.
I mean, they literally have the 2 top-graded safeties in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't get these moves for both Detroit and Green Bay, as the North is still very much up in the air. But this is good for Bears and Vikings fans. It looks like both teams are kind of
Considering themselves not
Yeah.
fully in it this year.
All right, so here are the Rams Indians schedules here. Saints this week, Seahawks, Chiefs, Lions, Bears, Eagles, Cardinals is their championship week.
So only one
Awesome
matchup.
And that is, so this is a defense you'd hold on to. We'll get more to that about why you should hold on to maybe multiple defenses as the playoffs near.
As more and more people are getting into the whole streaming thing, I'm starting to be more interested in holding multiple defenses.
Yeah, and we'll get to that when we get to the loan statement.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about some guys who did not practice Wednesday. Oh, one last trade. It was for, I believe, a 7th rounder. The Ravens traded for Ty Montgomery.
2020 7th rounder.
So about as little as you can pay.
It is pretty much trading for a bag of chips.
Yeah, it hurts whatever value Buck Allen had down the stretch, I think. But other than that, it doesn't do a whole lot.
So I think
I
Montgomery's
don't know what his value is. I think it, like we've always talked about, how it takes players a week or two to get adjusted
Acclimated.
to the new playbook and things like that. I'm not quite sure how much this actually hurts them. It may just be a body. It's one of those things where if you really want to monitor it, it's going to take probably a few weeks to see how it plays out.
Yeah, agreed. But I think immediately coming in, it definitely hurts just Allen because he's going to get some touches.
I think it hurts besides
And-
Collins. Maybe it hurts.
I think it even slightly hurts Collins.
It could, because they've been using him a little bit more in the passing game,
Yeah, well, and he's been under 15 touches for the last 5 weeks.
and he's been pretty bad.
All right, we'll talk about some guys who did not practice Wednesday. Royce Freeman, ankles, not practicing Wednesday. He may miss another game here. He's kind of going to be highly questionable going through the whole week.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Chris Thompson, Other Ribs is not practicing Wednesday. He's now hurt both sets.
It's also not surprising.
They need to shut him down. I
And-
think they're going to make a playoff.
Which
run.
is too bad because this is an excellent matchup this week against the Falcons.
I know.
Mike Evans with a knee issue did not practice on Wednesday.
Apparently, he heard it late in the game, so monitor this. If it gets better, then I'll be fine. I won't be too worried.
Stephon Diggs, ribs, not practicing Wednesday. Apparently hurt it late in the game against the Saints.
Monitor.
Allen Robinson, groin, still not practicing as of Wednesday. I think he may miss another game.
Yeah, it's against the Bills, so I don't really necessarily love Bears receivers anyway. Just a game script thing. I like Tariq Cohen a ton, but yeah, I'm not going to bump anybody up all once because of that, because of this matchup.
No, exactly.
Stills, Kenny Stills with a groin injury, not practicing Wednesday.
More on that situation later.
Rashard Higgins, knee still not practicing Wednesday. He'll probably miss another week.
That doesn't mean much.
I mean, they got the Chiefs, so this would be kind of the one chance to throw out some Browns players.
Maybe.
Robbie Anderson remains sidelined at Wednesday's practice, along with Quincy Enunwa, ankles for both.
So Curse and who's the other they just brought in?
Matthews.
Matthews.
And then, I'm blanking on his name, the kid out of Burnett.
Oh,
Deontay
Burnett from USC.
Yep, he did some stuff last week.
Yeah, he
He
did.
did some stuff.
He was the leading receiver,
Yeah,
4
was
for
he?
61.
Yeah, I love it.
He was all right.
That's good.
And then Torrey Smith, knee not practicing Wednesday. This is good for anybody who picked up DJ Moore.
We'll give more to him later.
See what you did there. All right, that's enough practice notes. Time to go ahead and talk about what the hell happened Monday night.
What the hell happened?
All right, and Monday night, it was kind of a game for about 2.5 quarters, almost 3, and then the Patriots just blew them out in the fourth quarter.
It was gross.
25-6 was the final score. I believe it was 9-3 going into half, and I think it was like 9-6 at one point in the third quarter. So this was kind of a game,
Yeah, the Bills made it
Not a
game.
good one.
but
Oh, it was
the
gross.
end, it just like when I stopped watching. Because I was running some errands, and then I was checking my phone, and just constantly the Patriots were scoring. And
Well, I'm
I'm like,
playing
oh,
against the Patriots, defense in multiple leagues. I'm like, oh, great. I'm gonna win, and then boom, touchdown. I'm like, well, fuck this. This is horrible.
flip all the
I
tables.
hate everything.
All right, Hopper, you got this game. Let us know what happened in this ugly finish.
We'll try to keep it short. Brady, I guess, was playing with his food in this one. 29-45, 324 yards, no touchdowns. Not that he really needed them. James White only had 8 carries, 15 yards. He did have a touchdown rushing, which is really weird for him. 10 for 79 to the air, though. He's a PPR monster. He's the top receiver on this team. And Cordero Patterson was apparently their plan to establish the run game. He had 10 carries for 38 yards. So.
Yeah, they were rushing him early and often to try to keep James White.
Oh, Kenyon
Pace.
Barner owners were pissed.
Kenyon
Yeah.
Barner did
He got
nothing.
like 3 carries.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if that tells you how they feel about Kenyon Barner. Julian Edelman, 9 of 10, easily the top wide receiver right here, 104 yards. Gordon did have 6 targets, got 4 for 42, and that whole missing 1 quarter thing, kind of a lie.
Yeah, he
That was
missed
bullshit.
like
Yeah.
a snap, maybe?
Ugh,
Yeah.
whatever.
He missed. And Belichick after the game was like, I don't know where that came from.
Of course.
The amount of just bullshit that swirls around the Patriots is just crazy.
It's fantastic. Gronk continues to be mediocre. Only caught 3 of his 8 targets, just 43 yards. That's pretty average for tight ends.
Yeah, he is
It's been disappointing.
he's out of the top tier. He has what, 1 red zone target this season?
Yeah.
Like I wonder if he's still hurt and we're just not hearing anything, which wouldn't surprise him because it's
But he
New
wasn't
England.
performing before he got hurt.
That's what I'm saying. Like I wonder if there's some undisclosed injury, even more than what we had before.
He has a permanent concussion, I'm pretty sure.
Are you accusing Belichick of some underhanded behavior?
Never. I would never, ever do that. Shame on me.
For shame. That's it for the Patriots. Defense continues to be a little bit better than expected. They scored a touchdown, but it is the Bills. Speaking of the Bills, Derek Anderson was terrible. He had his brain scrambled. Nathan Peterman came in, completed 100% of his passes. There was only 2 of them, though.
Well, 2 for 2 ain't bad. But
for 43 yards.
Hey,
easily Peterman's best day ever.
he tried.
Yeah. No picks. Well, Sean McCoy led the team, 6 receptions for 82 yards, didn't do anything on the ground. And Zay Jones actually led targets. He caught 6 of 8, which is usually his best day ever, for 55 yards. And then Kelvin Benjamin, he looks terrible. He caught just 2 of 7. He couldn't separate. He couldn't go up over people. He was mistiming jumps, not tracking the ball. It's like being a big body just isn't enough to play wide receiver in this league.
Didn't Booker McFarland say that he's one cheeseburger or like one Happy Meal away from being a tight end? I fucking rolled.
It's the only good thing Booker McFarland
Oh my
just said all
God.
year also, that he's one cheeseburger away from being a tight end.
I don't think it was.
I think it was
a
one chip away. Right? Like it was something small. It was like he's one blank away from being a tight end.
I think it was a cheeseburger.
Yeah. Oh my God, it was fantastic.
It's the only good thing Booker McFarland or anybody on Monday Night Football has said all year.
Jesus. It's been
one
bad.
Popeye's biscuit away from
There-
being a
That's what it was.
I knew it wasn't a burger,
Yeah.
but I couldn't remember what the hell it was.
I had a Popeye's biscuit today. It was
It was
delicious.
a Popeye's biscuit.
Shout out Popeyes.
Without any water either, so he can just choke on the dryness.
All right. Anything else out of this game?
No, mercifully.
And it was a real high kicker game early.
Right.
All right. With that,
Then that dream died too.
all right. Let's go ahead and jump into the lounge, and we're going to talk about some prep you guys should be doing before we get to your playoffs here. After all this time, the lounge is starting to sound a little anticlimactic compared to how awesome the rest of our music is.
Yeah, I'll maybe do something about that at some point. Hey, production meeting question real quick. How the hell am I supposed to rank 50 running backs with half the league on bye?
It was hard. It was really, really hard.
That's what she said.
I was staring at the list for a while, like, who
Like,
the fuck do I?
Do I rank Benny Cunningham here?
Benji. I can't wait to have
Anyway,
that problem tomorrow.
My number 50 ranked running back, just for a preview, is Mike Boone. That's where
Nice.
That's where we're at.
I figured it'd be like CJ Ham or something.
Kyle Juszczyk.
Juszczyk is on my ranks.
He should be. He gets involved in the passing game.
How do you spell Juszczyk?
I don't. I know there's like
Do you
there's
actually,
like three
do you
Z's
actually
in there.
want me to spell it?
No, I just guessed. It looks pretty right.
All right,
If there's not 2 Z's and a Y and a K, you didn't do it right.
There are 2 Z's, a Y, and a K.
All right, you're probably pretty close. All right, we're going to talk playoff prep on today's episode, where I'm going to give these guys some questions, and then if they miss points I feel should be at least obviously added, I'll throw them in. We're going to do some questions about playoff prep, about what players you should be targeting for schedules, selling, strategies you should be doing if you've locked up the playoff strategy you should be doing if you're desperately trying to win out and get into a spot. We'll go through all those here, starting off with who are the guys that you're looking at their schedules for weeks 14 through 16 and saying, hey, I really want to trade for this guy. He's got some excellent matchups. I want him on my team.
So I tried to do a wide receiver and a running back for this one rather than give a list. The wide receiver I have down is John Brown. He's got Kansas City, Tampa Bay, and the Chargers to end the season. 140 more yards than Crabtree so far on the year. All teams have stellar offenses, so game script, that is Kansas City, Tampa Bay, the Chargers. So game script should dictate that the Ravens have to throw in these. Yeah, I know their defense is okay, but they should have to throw in these, and all of those teams are giving up 23 or more wide receiver points per game. So bottom half of the league. So I like John Brown as a guy you can probably get on the cheap here because his name doesn't hold a lot of cachet.
And Crabtree's not a bad one if you can't get John Brown.
No. I looked at him when I was on break today and saw him. Like, I like their schedule. It's a really good schedule.
Dan?
Yeah, so I wrote down quarterbacks, running backs, and receivers. So with receivers, I put the Broncos receivers, and that's Sanders and Sutton. Obviously, it might be a little bit difficult to trade for Sanders, being what he's done. Sutton's a guy you can probably pick up right now, though. San Francisco, Cleveland, Oakland, all weak defenses, or with Cleveland's case, it's more of a of an aggressive defense that can get beat. And then Hopkins is a name if you're looking for a big name. Colts, Jets, and Eagles.
Gotcha. All right. The running back that I had down was Phillip Lindsay. He's another guy that people are high on, but he's not necessarily had these giant blow-up games that are going to drive his price way up. He's kind of taking a stranglehold on this job without Freeman, though, and he showed very good efficiency even with Freeman there. He's got San Francisco, Cleveland, and Oakland to end the year. They're 13th, 5th, and 4th in points allowed to running backs, as in they're giving up the 4th, 5th, and 13th most points. Those teams that he has to face are. So he's going to be a running back too, I think, especially throughout the playoffs. So he's a guy that I want to have on my bench for 2 reasons, really. One, as we'll talk about later, if injuries occur, he's somebody that's going to get some volume that you can plug in regardless of the week, and he's got a stellar playoff matchup.
All right. Dan, your running back?
I put down Philip Lindsay too, but I also put down Trick Cohen. He gets, I forgot to write down the teams he played, but he gets the Rams, Packers, and Niners. Obviously Rams. What's that?
Tariq Cohen was also in consideration from my running back. So.
It's been, I think, 4 straight weeks, or at least 4 straight games of, I want to say, over 15 touches. He's more involved. He's a better fit for Nagy's offense. He's been far more productive than Jordan Howard, and he gives them in this offense that boost to go along with his defense to be more aggressive. And with the Rams and Packers being top flight offenses, a lot of throwing you're going to have to keep up. The Niners, on the flip side of that, just have a bad defense in general, especially against the run. This is where Cohen can really take effect of that.
Gonna call you out for not listening to the show. He only had 6 touches on Monday.
Oh, well, work.
on Sunday.
Just kidding then.
But yeah, he had three games of 15 plus in a row, and then he dropped to 6, but he still gave you
70-yard touchdown, so hopefully that doesn't continue. But
all right, I got a couple running back names to throw out. These are going to be possibly some more expensive names. Some guys you might be able to get out a bit of a discount, though. First one, David Johnson. Lions Week 14, Falcons Week 15, and the Rams Week 16, and by then they might be sitting starters. So I like all 3 of those matchups potentially, especially Lions and Falcons. Those are awesome running back matchups for Johnson there, especially if this offense can get going in the right direction. Joe Mixon, Chargers, Raiders, and Browns. If somebody is willing to give him even at his going rate right now, he may exceed that during the playoff run. Nick Chubb, tough game in 14 against the Panthers, but this is a guy you want to get if you have a week, if you think you might be able to secure a bye, because he gets the Broncos and Bengals in weeks 15 and 16.
Yep.
And then Dalvin Cook, one similar situation where week 14 against the Seahawks is meh, but then he gets the Dolphins and Lions in weeks 15 and 16.
If he's healthy, him and Fournette, just in terms of health and their value, what you can get for them. I haven't looked what Jacksonville's schedule is.
I will get to him later.
Okay.
All right. Any other names you want to throw out there? You mentioned you had a quarterback.
Yeah, I put down Cam Newton, Cleveland, New Orleans, and Atlanta. Obviously, Cleveland's okay in terms of game script, but Saints and Falcons, high-powered offenses. Newton's, from an efficiency standpoint and just from a consistency standpoint, has been very, very good this year. Hasn't killed you there's been no flip flopping with his games, at least not to those extremes.
They've all been good or better.
Yeah, and then I put down Trubisky, Rams, Packers and Niners. Just like with Cohen, I love those offensive matchups. Then Wilson, Vikings, Niners, and Chiefs.
Niners and Chiefs, especially in 15 and 16, is awesome for a playoff schedule.
Yeah, you can withstand the Vikings, and their defense hasn't been great this year, but it's the Niners and Chiefs I love.
All right. Any other names to throw out before we move on to sells?
No.
All right. Who are some players you are looking to get rid of, potentially at their full value now, because you don't want them on your team in the playoffs?
All right, I'm going to give my obvious ones now, and there's a couple guys I'm going to throw out there that people will think I'm crazy about. A lot of running backs in this one, though. Peyton Barber, first off, though, is a guy that I don't think people are going to think I'm crazy for. He's got New Orleans, Baltimore, Dallas to end the year, which is not good. He was terrible during Fitzpatrick's last stretch starting as well. I'm not sure what the correlation is there, but that's just how it seemed to go for him. The teams that he has, they're 25th, 26th, and 32nd in points allowed to running backs. They're very, very good. They do not give up points there. If you're especially on a winning team, they can maybe trade Peyton Barber off for a premium to a team that needs a running back help, that needs to make the playoffs. Go ahead and do it, because he's not going to help you once you get there.
Yeah, I put the same thing down for both. I just put down all Tampa Bay skill players. Your Fitzpatrick, you may not be able to get much for value, because I think if he struggles again, you may see Winston as well. But just even the Bucs receivers, Mike Evans with Fitz has been fantastic when they played together. But as you know, as Hopper just pointed out, Saints, Ravens, and Cowboys are all very good defenses in general. The Saints have gotten a lot better, especially with this offense being balanced. And then just guys like Godwin as well there too, where you can kind of one blow up game, you can kind of see what you can get for them.
Yep. Some other running backs that have terrible schedules, and this is the part where I couldn't put these down because it would have been too crazy. But Gurley, Zeke, and Barkley all have terrible playoff schedules. Like they all three have teams those last 3 weeks that are in the bottom or top 8 in the league as far as allowing points to fantasy running backs. So if you get an offer for them that just blows you away, and you can really get off of them for a premium, and you're sitting in good shape, may not be the worst thing that you could do. So just throwing that out there.
Yep, Gurley was on my list as well because he's got the Bears 14, Eagles 15. And as I mentioned, with wanting to kind of face the Rams in Week 16, they may sit Gurley in Week 16 if they don't lose.
I've been thinking about this too because if they don't lose the game, I know I put down for the recap. I asked that question about Barkley. I didn't get to listen to Monday's episode. I just want to know what your guys' thoughts. I believe I asked, is he someone that you're willing to sell off for a right price?
He is because he's got some receiving floor, but in the playoffs, his matchups are Washington, Tennessee, and Colts, who have all been very good.
Yeah, the only one of that's even kind of okay is the Colts. The other two are top 8.
Yeah,
they're still. I think they're 24th or 26th in the points allowed to running backs this year.
Yeah, but they're good, but they're not like elite good like the other two are.
Well, it's also the Giants has hurt his floor in general. I think he's had 2 games this year over 100 rushing yards.
Exactly.
It was mostly his doing.
Yeah.
And for Zeke, I don't remember who they have in Week 16. Apparently, it was okay because they put an X down. But he's got Philadelphia and Indianapolis also in 14 and 15 on an offense that's underperformed, and he's kind of underperformed all year.
They get the Buccaneers in 16. So
if you can your championship, then you're okay.
Yeah, if you can survive, if you have Zeke, you're really hoping for the bye because the Colts are ugly, but they don't scare me nearly as much, especially for the Cowboys, who they're just going to run.
Yeah,
that's what they're going to do.
The Eagles, though.
The Eagles one scares the hell out of me if I'm playing in Week 14.
Yeah, you want that bye. Barkley's the one out of those 3 that I'm really trying to sell because Gurley can transcend even really good defenses, but Barkley's the one that I'd be pushing hard to try to sell for a premium.
Yeah, Barkley's I'm not sure he's there yet. I don't know if we can quite trust him because especially the Redskins are super scary.
I mean, it's all about the floor. It's all about the offers you get. I have 2 more names. They're not as high powered. You got Adrian Peterson and Kenyon Drake. Peterson gets the Giants, Jags, and Titans. Both Jags and Titans are on the road. Drake gets the Patriots, Vikings, and Jags. And the Vikings Week 15 is on the road.
Yeah, Drake was on my list too.
Yeah, especially right now because they're both blowing up right now. This is where you want to try to move them for that premium to a team who's on that fringe, who's trying to make a run. We'll get to that later too.
Yep. The other names I had here, if you can go out and get anything for the Titans running backs, they get Jaguars, Giants, and Redskins to close out the season, which is pretty ugly. And then Leonard Fournette, if people start kicking the tires for him when he's coming back after the bye week here, weeks 14 and 15, he gets Titans and Redskins.
Oof.
So if you can get to your title game, he gets the Dolphins in week 16, which is cool.
Good luck.
But, yeah.
If you drafted Fournette, you're probably hurting a little bit unless you were able to back him up with some good players. He was a first-round pick for everybody.
If you got Fournette, the strategy is you go find the top team in the league and you try to get him for RB2-ish value. Somebody's trying to buy him an upside.
Yep.
Yeah. And then the wide receiver, moving on, wide receiver I had written down is kind of your worst possible option there. Kenny Golladay. He's a guy that you can sell relatively high, especially after the Golden Tate trade. But he's got Arizona, Buffalo, Minnesota, who I know Arizona and Buffalo, you don't look at them and think, wow, this is scary. But they've actually been very, very good against wide receivers. And Minnesota, I think, once they get healthy, is going to improve in that regard. So I just think he may give you the best return on investment of the people that have bad wide receiver schedules. Minnesota is the only one of those 3 games that says game script may actually require throwing because I don't think that Arizona and Buffalo are going to be shootouts. And all 3 of those teams, Arizona, Buffalo, Minnesota, bottom half in points allowed to wide receivers.
Yeah, yep. I put down both. I put down the Lions receivers. So you can throwing Marvin Jones and also threw down Matthew Stafford. Because the Cardinals have also been good against quarterbacks. So have the Bills. And then as Hopper just pointed out, the Vikings are starting to get their players back. Their bye week is going to be huge.
Yep, I agree with all that. All right. Any strategy for a team that is locked into a playoff spot? So if you're a team, you're 6-2 or better right now, and you're looking like, hey, I just need a couple more wins and I'm in, so I can kind of start planning here. What are some moves you're starting to make?
Well, my first strategy-wise, first off, I'm starting to load up on players that are usable. I'm getting rid of some of my high upside guys that haven't done it yet. I'm trying to load up on some floor guys just in case I do catch an injury. So some guys I had listed down as possibilities for this: John Brown, who we just talked about, Larry Fitzgerald, who also has the Lions, Falcons, and Rams for his playoff schedule, which is pretty decent, but flashed out with the new offensive coordinator and is still the best wide receiver on that team. Marquez Valdez-Scantling, especially if he continues to see volume. He's got the Browns, Saints, and the Falcons to end his season. And Jordan Howard's another guy I had listed down that you can probably get on the cheap that is going to help to insulate your lineup. But I'm trying to get some cheap floor players on my bench and some rotational quarterback and defense pieces.
Yep, I'm going out there and I'm looking at which defenses I can see. I didn't get to look at the defenses, so when we get to there, you guys still have to care of that. But I'm looking at the best, defenses. I'm looking at some guys like Cook and Fournette, who may, be, who may have these lower, or who are at their lower value because of their injuries. That when they get healthy, could lead you to that, to that championship. I'm trying to find the teams that are, 3-5 and 4-4 and 5-3, and trying to see what I can get from them to help give them some short-term answers to help bolster my team long-term, because I can withstand those depth that I just lost.
Yep. The other thing I'm doing too is I'm kicking the tires on any team who looks like they're desperate, like they're like a loss or two away from being out of it, and I'm starting to kick the tires on any stud on their team to try to see if I can break them into depth pieces. Because I'll take the free roster spots and I'll churn more guys into it. I trust myself enough to look at the waiver wire and find enough usable assets that I want to break my depth up into studs if I'm going to look like a playoff team.
The other thing that I have to say is just don't get cute and lose it away either. Start playing more for floor, more for, your team can perform, who your guys are. So just don't get too cute with it.
Yeah, agreed. Don't and you don't have to hit home runs, especially when you're like 6-2 and plus at this point. You just need a couple singles and you're going to go in with a bye.
Yep.
Other thing I would say too, you guys kind of mentioned it, but start looking at quarterbacks, kickers, and defenses that are available. See if any of them pair really well with your studs for their schedule. So you have a guy, for example, if you have a Zeke who's running into the Eagles, find another player maybe that you can trade for to pair with Week 14. Don't really know any of the quarterback or defense or kicker schedules off the top of my head for who has like a really bad matchup Week 14. But look for a guy who pairs well with that. See if you can either trade for him on the cheap, maybe if it's a fringe guy like Phillip Rivers who's a borderline QB1, or try to find somebody on waivers who matches up pretty well with it. Say you can go get a, say if Ryan Tannehill had a really good Week 14 matchup. I haven't checked him quite good enough to throw out those
Derek Carr's got Pittsburgh. Ben Roethlisberger has Oakland. So there's that.
Those would be some good options right there. Is that 14?
Yeah, it's 14.
Yeah, so just take a look at all your studs and find out where the weaknesses are in their schedule once you know you're a playoff team.
Yep. Yeah, go ahead.
Did you have another point, or I was just going to...
No, I was just going to throw out Trubisky also. They've got the Rams in 14, but just see how they do. Make sure the Rams don't improve a lot by then, but that's not another bad stash.
Yeah, agreed with that. All right. If you're a team who basically needs to win out, what are some of the moves you're making?
Well, you're probably struggling because you drafted Fournette and Cook and other guys who have been hurt. Maybe you haven't got the full effect from Melvin, or maybe you couldn't etch out some wins with Melvin Gordon. So basically what I'm getting at here is you need to start moving players who you can't hold for the next 2 weeks. You need to look at your guys, your studs, who may have not been playing like studs, and trying to, target the teams that are the high power teams, try to, get those 1 or 2, 3, even depth pieces for them that can kind of give you those points now. Because the biggest thing you can do is just get to the playoffs. You don't know what's going to happen. Just get there, let fate take itself. At that point. But that's the biggest thing you can do is start looking at those fringe studs that didn't perform well enough and see what you can get for them.
Yeah, this is where you're taking your guys like you're taking Keenan Allen or other guys who have let you down this year, and you're going to some of the top contending teams and you're selling them on the, hey, this guy's got a lot of upside, and you're breaking them into two pieces that can immediately plug into your lineup and make it better this week so you can try to get some wins. This is where you're breaking studs up, is when you're in this situation, because you need to fill out a lineup and try to get some hard-earned wins.
Yep.
That's the exact same advice that I had down. And the other thing I had down is just swing for the fences.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're
definitely.
doing the opposite. Play your upside.
The other thing you're doing here too is you're actually looking at your team and saying who still has bye weeks left that I cannot afford to not play, and you're taking them and you're trying to buy players who are almost equivalent value who have already had their bye week.
Yeah, this is when you're looking at maybe you haven't had much luck with, or maybe you couldn't get wins with Joe Mixon, who's on a bye this week. And you're like, fuck, I need to get another win. Who can I try to move for? In a 2-for-1. Maybe go out there, get a guy like Drake paired with another good receiver. Maybe you can try to get Stephon Diggs and Drake for Mixon, where you can kind of fill those two spots and withstand the bye week for this week.
I mean, on the flip side too, you can come with the same narrative too. If you're a playoff team, you can go to a team who's desperate for wins and say, hey, you got a guy on bye, I'm going to give you almost full price for him.
Yeah.
And I'll take the bye, and you get players you can start this week, and so you can try to get a win.
This is when you want to start talking. Well, you should always be talking to your owners about trades. To other players in your league, but this is where having those type of conversations will help you, make some of these moves, because people are going to get desperate, or people are going to get cute. You're going to get your 8-0 teams and 7-1 teams that think they can be, nice out there and give up too much because they're trying to do too much, and get themselves set up.
All right. So any other points you guys want to make on the teams who are on the fringe there?
Nope. Some really good advice.
All right. Actually, one last note, in case it wasn't obvious too, you're going to want to get rid of upside players that you were stashing early in the season for guys who can help you now. Example I gave was like if you were holding Anthony Miller, who's going to be kind of a maybe you can start him here or there type player. You want to get rid of him for a player like Doug Martin, who can be a floor running back flex play for you.
Yeah,
and this
Willie Snead's one of my favorite call-outs here because you can play matchups there for a guy that's going to give you 6 to 8 points every week. Another guy that's kind of done stuff like that we haven't talked a whole lot about is Adam Humphries, who's kind of giving you some nice floor every week also.
You need more than just upside. You need a few of those guys, too, to just kind of insulate you and just try to push you over the goal line.
Yeah, I got one thing, and this is if you're playing with waivers. If you've been holding on to your number one priority, this is probably when you want to use it. Guys like Cortland Sutton and DJ Moore got boosts.
So
Moore's breakout week mini breakout week last week with the banged up Torrey Smith should see similar volume, and Sutton who just got that massive boost. This is where you want to start, stop, trying to hold it for that one big player for some reason.
I mean, I never get the whole idea of holding the number one waiver anyway. I just think it's bad strategy. Did you just wait for the magical guy to come?
There's a lot of people that say you want to hold it and wait for the big thing, like wait for the big injury. But if you're a fringe team right now, there's no reason you should not be using it on a guy like Cortland Sutton, who could have a massive increase.
So if your waivers ran this morning, sorry, but you would use it if your waivers run Thursday.
Yeah.
All right, and then last thing here is before we get to just the open floor, if you guys have anything more, is there any particular kicker or defense you're looking to stash for a playoff run, and what week are you hoping to grab, Matt?
Yeah, I've got a defense that really jumped off the page at me that I'm looking to grab after their bye this week, and that's the Colts. They've got the Jags, Titans, Dolphins, Jags again, Texans, which is really their only bad matchup, Dallas, and the Giants, going from after their bye to the championship. That's a defense you can hold, and that's a defense you can run with. It's bottom third of the league against the run, against the pass, against quarterbacks, against everything. As far as they're above average in those regards, and they've got a stellar schedule coming out after the bye.
Yep, I definitely like the Colts. The other one I wanted to throw out was the Lions, who gets the Cardinals, in week 14 and the Bills in week 15 if you need a second defense to pair with somebody who maybe either has an elite matchup in one of those games in week 16. They could be a good pairing, or even if you just need a team to try to get you through 2 weeks. I'm going to try to grab in week 13 where they, have, I believe, have a bad matchup.
They get the Rams week 13.
Perfect. So somebody will drop them when they play the Rams. You pick them up, stash them, and hold them for weeks 14 and 15.
Yeah. This is where you want to start looking at multiple defenses if you have the bench spots to do them, because you can pair up a team like the Lions who get very nice matchups, who get the Cardinals in Buffalo, and then find the team that they play in week 16, like the Patriots, who will have Miami and Pittsburgh up before that game, and you can kind of pair those up and get the most out of that outcome.
Yep. And then the other one I wanted to say is I did find a kicker who I liked down the stretch.
Oh, nice.
I'll go ahead, Hopper, then.
Will Lutz was a kicker I like if you can get him. He's got the Steelers, Panthers, Bucks, Cowboys, but then Eagles, Beagles, Rams. So right now, if he's available, because all of those games, except for the Cowboys game, should be pretty high scoring.
And at least the Cowboys game is indoors.
And it's week 13.
Yep. The one I went for is Adam Vinatieri, who just came off an injury, so he may be available.
And he's the all-time leading scorer.
He's the all-time leading scorer, and the last 3 games of the season for him for your fantasy playoffs are at the Texans versus the Cowboys and versus the Giants. All 3 games indoors, and all 3 are decent but not amazing defenses, so he should at least kick some field goals in those matchups. So I like those a lot. There should be at least enough scoring to make him viable for you, and he's been pretty solid before the groin injury.
I found one. Graham Gano. He gets Bucks in week 13, Browns in 14, but Saints and Falcons in 15 and 16.
So in the dome, perfect.
Yeah, I mean, they're at home, so they're not going to be in a dome, but as long as there's no win issues, and this is where you can start, playing for that.
No.
But these are terms of good offenses.
It's at least in the South.
Yes.
So it shouldn't be any snow.
Yeah. These are good offenses that could help, push those games. Saints have a good enough defense that could probably hold them up to when they get down there for field goals.
All right. Any other playoff prep topics or discussions you guys want to bring up?
Not that I can think of now.
All right.
Yep.
Well, let's go ahead and wrap that up. It is time for us to do our starts and sits of the week.
Stardom, sit 'em.
Do beer preview or beer review first. Based on our prep script pick.
And before we get to that, let's review a beer.
He's choking. Someone get him some water.
That was my Vikings in the NFC Championship game impression.
Oh.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh.
Tough crowd.
All right.
Tough crowd.
What'd you guys think of Kirkwood Station's Blackberry Wheat?
It's interesting because the front end of it tastes like it should be a sour because you're getting a lot of blackberry, but then the finish is smooth, kind of like a wheat beer. So it's kind of a mindfuck, if you will. I am not sure that I am in love with it, but it's very solid. I think for what they tried to do here, which is a unique thing, you don't see a lot of fruit wheat beers, especially berry versus citrus. I like what they accomplished.
Yeah, it's. I like blackberry, so it's not a terrible start to it. And it's very heavy blackberry right away. As Hopper pointed out, I'm not a huge fan of wheat, so the back end and and the aftertaste just kind of lingers a little more for me than I would drink it. I wouldn't rush out to get this, but I'm not a fan of of beers like this. But they did what they said they wanted to do, and that's to give you all that.
Well, and the thing that probably helps a little bit is it's not super weedy.
No, it's not.
No.
It's kind of a mild wheat. So if you're something more like I'm not super into the wheat flavor, but I'm okay with it, you'll probably be fine with this. Dan just straight up does not like wheat beer.
Yeah.
I'm actually a big fan of wheat beer. So I think this is fantastic. I would have drank the full 4-pack for myself.
Yeah, you're a big fan of sours too, so it's like this is in Nick's wheelhouse.
Yeah, this is definitely a Nick beer. Though very few things aren't.
True.
I
don't discriminate towards beers. We know what we like and don't like, but we'll still drink even things we don't like.
I don't have the
It's
like
beer.
Like Hopper's got the lime and issue, and then you've got the wheat issue. I don't have either of those. I'm pretty much cool with whatever.
Yep. As it should be.
All right. Well, we already did the drops. I'm not going to play it again. Let's talk about our starts and sits of the week. Starting at the quarterback position, Dan, who's going to try to get some people some wins this week?
I put Alex Smith, and this is where I know it's it for me, but this is where you also start playing matchups. 6 teams are on bye this week, and this is when you start to you want to get cute. You know, maybe you need to get cute because you're struggling. Maybe you lost your quarterback for this week. They are playing against against Atlanta Falcons. They've given up the second most points to the quarterback position this season. They've also given up the third most touchdown passes to him. So he does have some upside if he can kind of if the game script can get there. If there's a chance for him to reach his ceiling, it's going to be this game because of just based on what the game script should be. I'm not saying you need to go out there and rush start him over their big name quarterbacks, but this is one of those if you're in a deeper league. And you just lost your quarterback, on bye, or maybe you had Winston who's now fucking benched. Maybe.
All right. So Hopper, you also went with kind of a streaming candidate here in a plus matchup.
Yep. This is a very, very good matchup for my stream of the week or start of the week, Baker Mayfield. There it is. So if you're a gambler, this should be a shootout with a new offensive coordinator against the Chiefs. This team should be motivated because they lost the offense, because they lost a head coach, lost an offensive coordinator. He's had more than 40 throws every start. He's picking up yards on the ground. The Chiefs' pass defense has been absolutely terrible. They just give up 22 to Keenum. They're averaging over 20 points a week given up to the quarterback. So if like Dan just said, it's not something you're going to run out and pick up if you have a stud quarterback that's not on bye. If you have a quarterback that's on bye, go ahead and start Baker Mayfield this week in a plus matchup. He's giving you some decent floor every week. So time to go ahead and just roll with that and hope.
All right. Mine is less of a stream of the week and more of a, hey, this guy's starting to turn it around a little bit. We're starting to see some second half Russell Wilson.
Some? It's been amazing.
3 straight games with 3 straight touchdowns. His touchdown rate over those 3 games has been 14.75%.
That's what scares me. That's what scares me a little bit.
And 10.95 yards per attempt.
That's pretty good.
He's got 61 attempts in the last 3 games, has 3 touchdowns in all 3 of them, and I believe the low is about 195 yards on about 20 attempts a game. It's been awesome. He gets the Chargers this week. Chargers have had one of the easiest quarterback schedules to defend in the leagues. They only placed 2 top 15 quarterbacks this season in terms of scoring, and that's Mahomes and Goff. Both went for at least 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. I like Wilson as a top 6 play this week, and he's starting to enter that top-tier conversation that we've been missing for the first half of the season.
Yeah, if he does more pass attempts, I'd feel really great.
Well,
but this is a good offense that they're playing against, so this could turn into a shootout.
Yeah, game script could be there, and even if it's not, he's still been throwing 3 touchdowns before he shuts it down for the week. All right, moving on to our running back start of the week. Hopper, we'll start with you. A guy who was a sit of the week for us last week.
Yeah, definitely not this week. It's going to be Latavius Murray. Dalvin Cook's expected out through the bye week. The Patriots are the only team without a running back that scored over 14 points against the Lions. I think James White had 11 and Sonny Michel had like 8, so they still cumulative did very good. But Murray's had a touchdown in 3 straight games, averaging over 4.5 yards a carry in that stretch. He's really turned it around since the slow start. It's a plus matchup without Dalvin Cook there, so he should get fed. I definitely like Latavius Murray this week as a running back 1, actually.
All right, and I got him as a high running back 2, so I definitely agree with you there. Dan, you got a guy who we all like is at worst a running back 2 this week in a great matchup.
He gets Isaiah Crowell. I picked Isaiah Crowell. He's been up and down this season, so it's been kind of a headache to deal with. I want him in a bunch of leagues. But he gets the Dolphins this week. They're giving up 4.6 yards per carry on the season. 215 attempts was the second most. Nearly 27 carries a game for backs as a whole. He is the only pure runner there. So he should get a lot of work, which is why this is gonna make him. I put on a high flex play. That's because most people will have him as a flex player, but he's gonna give you that RB2, RB1 upside. We've seen big games from him this year.
Definitely agree. I like him a lot this week. I've had a couple questions that people have asked me, and I've told them Crowell this week. So hopefully that pans out. Caw. All right, mine is Nick Chubb. He goes against the Chiefs, who's going against a team that is giving up an average of 102 total yards to opposing running back ones, and 6 of the 8 have scored against the Chiefs this season. Chubb has gotten 75-plus yards in both games he started. He's gotten 18 touches as his floor in his first 2 games he started this season, even in games where they fell behind early. So they're feeding him the ball. I like him as a top 10 play this week. So that guy you grabbed off the waivers, rolling him out as an RB1 this week.
You grabbed all these guys off waivers. Well, besides Crow. I mean, like at some point in the season.
All right. Wide receivers. Hopper, starting with you, a guy who probably was dropped and you may have just picked up off the waivers.
Yep, that's going to be Devontae Parker. And if he's on the waivers, you should go get him. The Jets have allowed 5 100-yard wide receivers this season. They've all been outside guys. He's got a season high in targets last week at 9. He went over 100 yards. You should basically be the guy again, especially with Stills nursing injury. The slot receivers haven't necessarily done it against the Jets, which is why I pulled off at Amendola a bit. But Devontae Parker, if he gets the volume again, especially if Stills still hurt, potentially not playing, he's going to be a guy that I'm okay throwing out there as a wide receiver 3, kind of flex range type of guy.
Yep, and he played 100% of snaps last week.
And he looked okay doing it. So.
Yeah, he had a gift, but beyond that, it looked pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Dan, apparently I didn't notice who you picked, so I'm going to have to change mine. So
That's fine. We can just do a double take if you want on him.
I must put him down a 3rd time.
I mean,
I agreed with
it's
it.
one of those
to be
things
fine.
where we all love DJ Moore this week. We got to see what he did last week at over 100 total yards against the Ravens, which is a very, very difficult matchup. Smith is looking like he won't play this week. So he should see similar, if not more, volume. He racked up over, I think he had close to Devin Funchess' snap count. I think they were both in the 70s, which means that he is the true 2 now. And now they get the Bucks, which is a horrible, horrible pass defense. So it's going to make Moore a really good mid-flex play with a lot of upside to him. I expect him to see even more targets this week.
Yep, he was my pick of the week. I somehow overlooked the fact that you picked
He goes,
him.
I don't give a fuck. I'm putting him down. Maybe Dan will change it.
I'll force Dan to switch. I got him. No, so yeah, my original pick was DJ Moore, but my pick I was originally going to do before that was actually going to be Devin Funchess, and then I'm like, I'm going to go for the deeper pick. I'll do DJ Moore. So I'm just going to switch right on back to Devin Funchess.
There you go. Panthers receivers this week.
Their bottom 3 defense against wide receivers. They're giving up nearly 200 yards and 2 touchdowns a game to opposing wide receivers. I like him as a high wide receiver 3, low wide receiver 2 this week. He's got some serious upside, and he still is one of the main red zone threats for this team, along with Greg Olsen, who I also very much like this week against the Buccaneers.
And with Fitzpatrick back, the Bucs can actually put together some points on offense to really make Cam throw.
Yeah, I like Cam. Might be my QB1 this week. Yeah, he's my QB1 this week.
Makes sense.
All right, tight end start of the week. I know this is always gross.
Oh, look at the names. we're going for a level of difficulty here.
I like Hoppers. Hoppers is straight up like a top 7 play
that's
for
fine.
me.
Yeah.
But
Is that a segue for me?
yeah.
Yes, you can go.
Okay, we're gonna start with OJ, aka Orange Juice Howard. You need touchdowns out of tight ends, more or less, for them to perform. He is getting targets in this offense, so that bodes well for him. And Carolina has allowed 5 touchdowns this season to tight ends. In fact, the only weeks a tight end didn't score a touchdown against them, week 1, Blake Jarwin and Jeff Swaim. And the New York Giants, when Evan Ingram was hurt, which meant Rhett Ellison and something called a Scott Simonson didn't score one. So
I can't believe Scott Simonson didn't score.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
Tight end 1.
Yeah. Complete underperformance by him. But O.J. Howard should be a lock for a touchdown. He's usually going to be good for about 30 to 50 yards, and that is easily a tight end 1 any week.
All right. Dan?
I went for a massive degree
You
of
did.
difficulty. I mean, I've been kind of cheesing it with the tight ends. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to keep streaming against.
Wait, you didn't want to do Austin Hooper for a
Yeah.
5th time?
Hey, no. I did him once.
It's a
was
show
a
without
show to them
Austin.
for like a
It's a
fifth
show
fucking
without
time.
Austin Hooper as a tight end start of the week. We need to redo this.
All right. So I picked this streaming tight end against Pittsburgh, and that's Mark Andrews. Yes, he has to compete for snaps against Nick Boyle and Hayden Hurst, the other rookie. Boyle and Hurst, Boyle for sure is more of a blocking tight end. Hurst hasn't got into the system quite enough yet. And Andrews is the number one pass catching tight end in this offense. He leads all tight ends on this team in receptions, and he's second in targets still. He saw a season high in targets and catches last week with 5 and 4. So yeah, it's not great, but he is a true dart throw play. I know that and Joe could put up a goose egg against Pittsburgh, but you have to see what it did for guys like Austin Hooper and Seiji Uzomah, who had their best weeks against Pittsburgh only a few weeks ago. So if you're taking a true dart throw at tight end, look at Mark Andrews. Fuck, I'm even doing it this week.
All right, and if you picked him up last week and streamed him, I recommend you just continue rolling with Chris Herndon the fourth.
Fuck yeah.
3 straight games he scored for you, and now he gets the Dolphins defense that has allowed 5 tight end touchdowns in the last 3 games. If you're streaming tight ends, you're basically just desperately looking for tight ends who can score a touchdown. He's done it 3 straight. I'm calling a 4th.
It was my start of the week last week, and it paid off.
Yep. And if you need the who scored, it was 2 for Jordan Thomas, 2
One for Trey Burton.
1 for Trey Burton, 2 for Michael Roberts.
That's right. Against sophomore and rookie tight ends.
Another rookie tight end.
That's right.
Let's roll. All right. Sits of the week. Hopper, I'm going to let you start. This was all of us went running back this week, and Hopper, yours was almost my pick too.
Yep, that's going to be LaShawn McCoy. The Bears are, I think, best in the league against running backs.
They're definitely top 3. I forget if they're first or whatever.
Yeah, they're somewhere between 30th and 32nd there. But they're allowing just 28 receiving yards a game to running backs, and that's how McCoy's gotten his points this year. He has to get his points there. They haven't had a passing attack, so everything's just keying in on him. The Bears also haven't allowed any rush touchdowns at all. The only way that you can score on them is if you catch a touchdown, and they don't target McCoy in the red zone. They don't use McCoy in the red zone, so it's a terrible situation for LaShawn McCoy this week. I'm avoiding him at all costs, and Nathan Peterman definitely isn't going to help that field stretching thing.
He is. The Bears are the second best. Ravens are the best.
I knew it was close.
All right, Dan, your start of the week, who was another one I was kicking around.
My sit of the week?
Sit of the week.
Your
sit of the week.
You and words. You're like me. You've been hanging around me too much. Mine is Tevin Coleman. He gets Washington. You just seen what Washington has done to Saquon in terms of yardage on the ground. Before that, he held Zeke to his worst day of his career. He held his Saints duel before their bye week, I think, to under 70 total yards. And CMC was held under 30 yards a week before that, I believe. They can be beaten by pass catching backs, but both Coleman and Ito have seen pretty much split work in the passing game without Freeman in. And he may be hard to sit, just like some of these other guys on this list. But if you have a better option, or if you want to get cute and find somebody else in the waiver that has a lot more upside, I would sit Coleman this week. He needs to get some pass catching work. He doesn't have the floor to get there for that.
Yep, 100% agree. Just to give you an example, I would rather start Doug Martin than Tevin Coleman this week.
Yeah,
who the Raiders play? Oh yeah,
San
the Niners.
Francisco.
Yeah, start Doug Martin this week.
I would too, and it's by a lot.
Yes, okay, we've got 2 points.
It's by 8 spots.
I probably started Jalen Richard over Tevin Coleman.
Yeah.
Someone's got to catch passes in that offense.
All right.
Only if they have to throw, though.
Which we'll get to when I do preview the Thursday night game in just a moment, but we got one last sit here, which I'm going to go back to the well on Alex Collins, which did not work out great for Hopper this week when he got into the end
Our
zone.
sits last week were brutal. I think all 3 of us.
I think mine was okay.
Mine sucked. Murray scored.
3 of my 4 starts sucked, but I think my sit was fine.
You can't predict touchdowns.
Yep.
True.
So this is a rematch of week 4. Collins managed 45 yards total. He did score a 3-yard receiving touchdown. He doesn't catch a lot of those, so I'm not expecting a repeat of that performance. Ravens have brought in Ty Montgomery, so he's going to get probably even less touches than he normally gets, and that's when he's been under 15 touches in 4 of his last 5 games, and I believe he's fumbled in 2 out of his last 3.
I think that's another reason why they traded for Ty. He's a lot better with the ball in terms of holding on to it.
Steelers are a top 3 defense against opposing backs. They are just behind the Bears, in right ahead of the Eagles, throwing 91 yards per game total to opposing running backs.
Yeah.
So there's Allen, Montgomery, and Collins all getting work in this game. They're all going to get at least a few touches. Hey, maybe even Gus Edwards will get a couple.
And Lamar Jackson.
Yep, you're praying that Collins gets into the end zone to save his week this week.
Trade Collins after this week, after last week, if you can.
if you can.
If we keep saying to trade him, hopefully you guys are listening.
Yep. Fortunately, a lot of leagues I own him. I can't trade him. Looking at you, Scott Fish. All right, that's all I got for sits. Let's get ahead and preview what the hell's going to happen Thursday night, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up.
Weekly preview.
All right, we got Raiders at the 49ers. 49ers favored by 3. If that is still the line with all the injury news to their quarterback, go out and bet the hell out of the Raiders. It is a 46.5 point over-under on this one. For the Raiders side, this is one of the few times where Carr is in streaming consideration this season. 49ers have allowed 7 of 8 opposing quarterbacks to go for at least 202, so he should have a decent floor for you. The one who didn't was Rosen in Week 4, his first start ever against the 49ers. Consider him a mid-quarterback 2 in 2 quarterback leagues, and he's a desperation bye-week fill-in if you're in a 1-quarterback situation. Martin just went for 89 total yards against a much better Colts run defense, and now he gets the 49ers, who are 12th worst against opposing running backs. He's a low running back 2 with 6 teams on bye this week, and this may be your best opportunity to start him so far, given how many good running backs are on bye this week. So you're probably looking for some options. There's no Barkley. I'm trying to remember who else is in bye, but I know.
Just don't mix him.
No Mixon.
Aren't the Patriots on bye?
No, Gordon's back. No Eagles running backs. No Yeldon or Hyde. So yeah, but there's enough people missing that you're probably wanting to roll out Martin this week. And then Rashard is also a startable as an RB3. 49ers are allowed 3 receiving touchdowns this year, and they're allowing about 50 yards a game to receiving backs. So get you a nice PPR floor with probably 40 yards and 5 catches. For the 49ers secondary, they're very beatable. The issue is, who the hell is the person who's going to get targeted?
Jared Cook.
At the receiver position.
Jared Cook.
Jared Cook.
Jared Cook is the correct answer here.
So
it's not Martavis Bryant.
Yeah, because I looked at the last 5 games. Jordy Nelson is their top receiver in terms of targets, touchdowns, and receptions, but he's not the most in yards. That is Martavis Bryant. But he's got 19 targets in the last 4 games they've played. They had a bye week in there. 20 total yards in the last 2. So do you start Jordy Nelson in a plus matchup here?
You don't start any receiver.
I think the answer is you bench all of everybody.
Yes.
I think so too. I think that's how I have it ranked.
Yeah. If you're super desperate, Brandon LaFell rule, I guess.
It worked for you last week.
Worked for you last week. You got 1 catch for a touchdown.
Hey,
That's
got her done.
Jordy's my top wide receiver in this matchup, and he's 33. So
barely. Yep, as we said, barely a flex option.
Yep.
Where is Jordy?
Oh yeah, teams on bye. So you have Nixon on bye, Marlon Mack on bye, Barkley, David Johnson.
Yeah, I got Jordy as 39. I want nothing to do with the Raiders pass catchers, except for Jared Cook, who I definitely want to start this week. He's definitely a top tier play for me. 5+ targets in 3 of his last 4 games. He seems to be one of the main beneficiaries with Cooper out of town. He had 6 targets last week, scored you a touchdown, and he's looking like their primary red zone weapon. So Cook is a great start. And the Raiders defense, who I think is on paper terrible, but there's a lot of bad defensive matchups this week anyway, with 6 teams on bye and just some terrible matchups where good defense is running into really good offenses. So with Bethard either hurt or out, they're either starting a banged up Bethard at less than 100%, or they're starting Nick Mullins. And the 49ers already are allowing 4 sacks and over 2 turnovers a game this season. So
Oof.
Raiders should have some serious ceiling for you here, and probably at least a decent floor with a couple sacks.
Watch me get blown out.
It's football. Who knows?
It's Thursday night.
And it's Thursday night. But yeah, Raiders defense, if you're desperate, not a bad play here. I do have them as a top 12. On the 49ers side, if Bethard were fully healthy, this would actually be a solid streaming candidate situation, but he's not. So I'm benching him or Nick Mullins, whichever one gets the start Thursday night. Want nothing to do with either one. Breida, similarly, if he was 100%, he would be an easy RB2 for me this week. But he's had an ankle issue in the last 2 games. He's averaged 2.71 yards per carry. Oof, not good. Nope. And if he re-aggravates the ankle like he did 2 weeks ago, he's a risk to be pulled mid-game if that does happen. So he's a high-risk, high-reward running back 3 in this matchup. He could boom for you if he stays healthy because this run defense is atrocious. But if he starts, you're kind of playing with fire because you don't know what the hell's going to happen.
This is the only running team that has sparked a massive debate in the fantasy community once.
And then Mostert and Morris are both kind of running back 4s if Breida doesn't go. I'm just not going to start either one if he does. I don't want to risk it.
Yeah.
You could get dudded by either one. For the wide receivers, Goodwin's the only one you're considering with the quarterback issues. He got 90% plus of snaps every single week. And there's been some speed guys that have had success against the Raiders. Stills, Grant, Wilson, and I wrote Stills twice.
12 times 2.
Lockett was the other one of all scored against them. So there's some big play potential against this team. 4 tight ends have scored on the Raiders in the last 3 games. So Kittle, who's been a stud this year, is my tight end 2, even if I get the start at quarterback for the 49ers. Because I'm just going to throw to Kittle.
Yeah, I would.
And defensive desperation start. They've averaged 3 sacks a game over the last 3 games, so there's some floor here against a bad Raiders offense, but not enough that I consider them top 12.
I wouldn't play their defense this week.
All right, that wraps up
Thursday.
tonight's episode. Sorry this went a little long, but I wanted to get a decent time for that playoff discussion. I'm glad we did. We'll be back Friday to preview all 12 Sunday and Monday games with 6 teams on bye. Sunday will be a solo show for Hopper at 10:30 in the morning, so go harass him. I'll be joining you guys to pester him with all my asking for a friend questions. I hope you do too.
Yep, I'm excited for it. I get to wake up, sip some coffee, and hang out with my favorite people in the world, our listeners. So
At least it's in a reasonable time.
yes, and it's not at 7:30 in the morning, so I'll be more chipper.
Yep, I'm looking forward to a later start on the show, so I'll be joining as an audience member this time, so that should be kind of fun. Christopher Hopper calling in for us from St. Louis.
At Hot BFF with TPs.
To my right, Daniel Thury.
At their BFF with 2 Fs.
And I'm Nick Sparts. You can follow me at Nick Sparts on Twitter. The show is at BeerfieldFF. We'll see you guys on Friday, and we'll catch you guys next time on Beerfield Fantasy Football.
See ya.
Later.
Bye.